right, everybody. So most of you know me, but if you don't, my name is Lori Richmond, and I'm a children's author, illustrator, and an artist. And today we're going to be drawing together. We're going to draw a kitten in an ice cream truck. Perfect for summertime, right? And kids always ask me, like, where do you get your ideas? How do you know what you're going to draw? And the answer is always from real life. So most of you guys probably know Mona, our little kitten, but if you don't, I wanted to share a picture of her in the ice cream truck so you can see where my inspiration came from for this drawing. So our little gray kitten Mona, you can see her in there. She really likes to play in a little kitten playhouse. So I thought it would be fun to look for more playhouses, and I found an ice cream truck. So as soon as she was in there, I was like, wait a minute, this is perfect for drawing. Great for a kid's book maybe. And that's what we're gonna make today. So before we start, I want to check everyone's materials. Oh, I see Mona. People are asking about Mona in the chat. Lucky for me, maybe not for you, but lucky for me, she's sleeping right now in the window. So maybe she'll stay there, maybe she won't. I don't know, we'll see. But while she's sleeping, we're gonna check our materials and make sure that we have everything that we need for our class. So first you need some kind of paper, a pad. It can be paper from your computer printer, whatever you have. I have a pen right here. This is just a plain black Sharpie, nothing fancy, right? Because we're not doing anything fancy. And just a paintbrush. This one is actually round, a round paintbrush. Paintbrushes come in different shapes, but whatever you have. And if you don't have paint and you want to use markers or crayons, perfect, that's fine too. But I really like watercolor paints, so I'm going to use this fancy schmancy colorful set that I actually got at the craft store. Very inexpensive. This is not like professional art supplies, but you don't need that. You can just use whatever you have at home. So I'm going to be painting today, and because I'm using watercolor, in order to kind of activate the paints, I need water. So I have a little water cup here that I use right here. So let's get started. All right, I'm gonna set up my workspace here. I'm gonna turn my easel this way so you can see it, and then I'm gonna magically disappear into a chair over here. But I promise I didn't disappear. See, I'm still here. Okay, so what I want everyone to do is I want you to start out with your pen. So everybody start with your marker or your pen or your pencil, whatever you have to draw. And most of what you can draw, can you guys see me? Most of what you draw, it's actually just made up of basic shapes. So you'll see we're gonna do lots of rectangles, we're gonna do a couple of circles, but we're just gonna really be kind of putting basic shapes together in like a puzzle, and it's gonna turn into an ice cream truck. Pretty cool. All right, so here we go. Everyone can see my paper. So I'm taking just my plain old Sharpie, and I'm gonna start out by drawing a rectangle. So, nothing fancy, nothing too hard. We're just gonna start out with a rectangle. So hopefully everybody's got that on their page already. And now we're gonna start making the shape of the front of the truck. And so you just wanna take one little end out like that from the top of your rectangle. And then we're gonna draw a slanty line, a little bit more than halfway down. A slanty line. Now we're gonna make another slanty line that slants out a little bit further than that one, like that. And then we're gonna go straight down. And then we're gonna connect it straight across to the rest of our rectangle. So hopefully everybody has that. The next thing we're gonna do is we need to make a door, right? Mona needs a door to get into the ice cream truck. So I'm gonna make another rectangle inside this bigger one, like that. And what's really cool about this rectangle, see, it shares an edge of the one that we already drew. So we only had to draw 3 sides. That's pretty cool. Now we're gonna make another rectangle. I told you, lots of rectangles inside this one to make a window in the door. So let's make another little rectangle like that. And we'll put a little handle on the door. See, so now Mona can get in and out of the ice cream truck, right? So we have our little door. And now we're gonna start working on this part, on the window. So here we made a window on the door, right? So we want this window to be kind of the same height as the window in the door. So I'm gonna look at how big my window is, how tall it is, and I'm gonna make a line here that's about the same height as that window. And then there's a line here on the bottom of that, so I'm gonna make it like that, and then connect the two. So now we have two windows, window in the front, window in the door, that are about the same height. And that'll look really good for the design of our truck. So the next thing that we are gonna do is we're gonna make some wheels, right? So the first wheel we're gonna put right here underneath the door, and then the second wheel is gonna go kind of in the middle of this space here. So we're just gonna draw a circle like that for the first wheel. And then try to make the wheels the same size. If they're not the same size, that's fine too. So then we're gonna make a wheel kind of here. That's about the same size. And then we're gonna put another smaller circle in the center, kind of like a little hubcap. So now our truck has wheels, yay! Now it can drive. So now we're gonna start adding some detail to the truck. So I really like ice cream trucks that have those stripes on them. So Mona's truck is gonna have a stripe along the top, and we're just gonna draw a line across the top like that. And then we're gonna do another one across the bottom, but we're not gonna drive over the wheels. We're gonna kind of stop where the wheels are. So our line will skip over the wheel, continue, skip over the wheel, and continue. And did you guys see something? Did you see up here that I made a mistake? Did you see that? How it kind of like got a little filled in there? That's okay, because drawing is not supposed to be perfect. And when it's not perfect, that's when it's more interesting. So you just keep going, you don't worry about it, you just keep going. So since it's summertime for our ice cream truck, Mona's gonna need a little canopy. So we're gonna draw the canopy in this area, and we're gonna start with a line that has some space on the right and left. So you can watch me do it first. We're gonna have a line like that, but we're gonna leave some space on the right and left side. That's gonna be important, okay? So now we're gonna make a slanty line this way and a slanty line this way. See, that's why we needed that space to add those slanty lines. And now we're gonna connect the bottom of the slanty lines like this, okay? Now, since Mona's a fancy cat, I like to add some fancy details to the canopy here. And the edging is actually, it has a fancy name. It's called scallop. But what it really is a bunch of half circles next to each other. So I'll show you how to do that. You can just do a half circle, half circle, half circle, and keep going and connect them. And it's so simple, but it's such a nice little detail. It makes it more interesting, right? So now I also really like stripes. So I'm gonna add stripes to my canopy, but maybe you like dots, or maybe you like some other pattern like zigzag. You can decorate the canopy however you want. So I'm gonna make stripes like that kind of match up with my scalloped edges for Mona's fancy canopy. And now next we're gonna make the little window where she's gonna sit. So we're gonna put one line down like this, one line down like that, and then we're gonna connect the two on the bottom, like that. And then we're gonna add a little ledge, kind of like the little shelf, and all of that is another line at the bottom of the window. See? Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is really cool. We're gonna make the truck look like it's three-dimensional. So right now it looks kind of flat, right? It looks pretty good, except for my little mistake, which isn't really a mistake, right? It's fine because it's art and it's not supposed to be perfect. We're gonna make it look kind of like it's coming off the page. So we're gonna do that on this side of the truck. And remember these like slanty lines that we drew in a couple of places? We're gonna do that again here. So on the edge of the truck, we're gonna draw two small slanty lines like that. They're kind of like facing in. And then we're just gonna connect them on the ends, like that. Cool, right? All of a sudden, This thing has some volume and dimension. That's called perspective, when you can kind of see different sides of the cube. And because we added that decorative stripe on the truck, we're going to continue that on the back here by just extending the line. But our truck right now, it only has 2 wheels, right? It's not a bicycle truck, it's a regular truck. So we need to, and now we added dimension in the back, we need to add some dimension to the wheels. So we're gonna do, it's almost like a letter C that we're gonna tuck behind these wheels. So we're gonna put like a letter C here and a letter C there. And suddenly, whoop, like magic, our truck has 4 wheels. Can you believe it? Now Mona won't tip over when she drives her truck. So we're getting there. It's looking really good, guys. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna decorate the truck. And I really love when they have the menu on the truck of all like the different little ice creams. So I'm gonna draw little ice creams on Mona's truck. And I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit larger down here. So an ice cream cone shape is just a half circle and a triangle. Watch this. Here's a triangle and a half circle. Bam, ice cream cone. So you can draw a bunch of these all over your ice cream truck. So I'm gonna start doing that here, like that. Make a few little cones. Maybe I'll put one on the door. And then there's other kinds of ice creams. There's like popsicles, right, that come on a stick. And so that shape is kind of like an upside down U that you connect with a line. So that looks like this, an upside down U, connect it with a line, and then you make a U at the bottom to make the stick. So easy. So here, I'm gonna put some popsicles on my truck, maybe another cone and another popsicle. And you guys can just take a moment and decorate your ice cream truck with all different little ice cream shapes. And then after you have your truck decorated, we need a sign, right? Like there's, like I see Mr. Softy in Brooklyn and Brooklyn Ice Cream Company, but you're gonna make your own ice cream company. Maybe you're gonna make it Mona's, maybe you're gonna make it your own, whatever you want. But here's how we're gonna draw the sign. We're gonna add another rectangle to the top of our truck. It'll be a little bit smaller than the truck. It's kind of like sticking out the top. And remember our little trick that we did here to make the truck look like it's 3-dimensional? We're gonna do that again right up here to make our sign looks like it has some dimension. So we're gonna draw the little slanty line that's facing down like that, and then we're gonna connect it to the truck. Boom, see? How cool is that? Suddenly it looks like it's dimensional. So simple. Just, isn't it amazing how 2 lines could really change the whole thing? Now you can write whatever you want in your sign. So I'm gonna write, because I'm drawing Mona's truck, I'm gonna write Mona's ice cream, but you can write whatever you want. And you can use fancy writing, you can use regular handwriting. It's your art. So it can say whatever you want, however you want. So mine says Mona's ice cream. So now, the most exciting part is we're gonna add Mona to this truck, okay? So now we may have some dog lovers out there. You wanna draw your dog, that's fine too. But I'm gonna show you how to do a kitten. So the way that we're gonna start our kitten shape, I'm gonna show you down here. So it's a little bit bigger because she's gonna be real small when I put her in here. It's just a circle and 2 triangles. Circle, triangle 1, triangle 2. There's our cat head. Mona kind of has big ears, so if you want to make her ears really big, that would be great. So I'm going to put Mona in the truck. I'm going to make a circle, and I'm going to make her 2 little ears. And I'm going to give her a real simple little face because she's kind of small. So I'm going to put 2 little dots for eyes. I'm going to do an upside down triangle for her nose. And then I'm going to make kind of 2 U shapes for her little mouth. And I'm going to add whiskers. And the whiskers are just straight lines. So you can give your kitty 2 whiskers or 3 whiskers or 10 whiskers, however many you want to fit. So there she is. She's getting ready to sell her wares. So now I'm just going to extend a line from her head to where the ledge is, so it looks like it's a little shoulder. And I'm going to draw her hand, her little paw, I should say, as if it's going to hold the ice cream. So I'll move that a little closer so you guys can see it. See? Now, since we already know how to draw ice cream shapes, I'm gonna put an ice cream cone in Mona's hand. And I think if Mona could eat ice cream, I think her favorite flavor would be strawberry. Somebody asked me that yesterday. So there is Mona holding her ice cream. And the one thing that, and so I'm new to owning cats, and the one thing that I learned about owning a cat is their tail tells you a lot about how they're feeling. So Mona's usually pretty happy. She doesn't have that much to be unhappy about, I must say. Her tail is straight up with a little hook at the end. Straight up with a little hook. So we are going to add her tail straight up with a little hook. But you can make a curly tail if you want, however you want to draw your cat's tail. So now we've added pretty much all of the elements to our truck, and now we're gonna get to coloring the truck. So now I'm gonna put down my Sharpie. Everyone say goodbye to my good old Sharpie. And now I'm gonna start working with these paints. So for my friends who are working with paints, usually you would use a palette, which is something that's separate from your artwork and separate from the paint themselves, and it's a place where you would mix colors or add the water. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm actually gonna use the bottom part of my paper as a palette, which you can do too, but not all artists do that. So I just wanted to clarify for you why you might see like blotches on the bottom of the page. I'm just testing how much paint is on the brush. Cool. So if you're using markers, you can just follow along with what we're coloring using your markers or crayons. Okay, so I have my water here as well, right? Because watercolor needs to be activated with water. And I have my brush here. So the first thing I'm gonna paint is the stripes. So you guys can start choosing a color that you want for the stripes of the truck. I think I'm gonna do red. So see here, I'm testing my paint is like, I think I need a little more paint on there. It looks a little watery to me. Oh, and one thing I should point out is I'm really playing with fire here today because I'm working vertically, and watercolor can be a drippy paint. So we might see some drips today. I'm gonna try to avoid it, but usually you would paint on a flat surface if you're using watercolor, but we're living on the edge today. It's Friday. Here we go, let's do it. So I'm gonna add some color to this stripe up here. Look at that, red, fun, festive truck. Because an ice cream truck is probably one of the most fun vehicles around. So you can't have like boring colors on your ice cream truck. You need to make it vibrant and bright. Here we go. So I added some color there. And you'll see too, as I'm painting, I'm gonna point this out. I purposely do not stay in the lines because staying in the lines is super boring. And it's not fun, and you want to be like wild and loose because we're doing this for fun. So don't worry about staying in the lines. Just put it on there, put it on the page and have fun with it. So now for her canopy, I'm gonna keep this same red and I'm gonna paint the stripes in red, and you can do whatever color you want. So let's see here, I gotta watch out for this water here so I'm not too drippy, but I'm gonna add, there we go. Look at that, how fun. So is everybody adding some color to the canopy? I know some of you guys might have drawn dots, some of you might have drawn something else. You go ahead and paint that as much as you want. So the next thing I'm gonna do is the tires. So I'm gonna use some black for that. And I'm gonna start by coloring in those tires for Mona's truck. Look at that. And then we're gonna do some cool stuff with shadows at the end. So I'm not gonna ruin that exciting for you. And then I'm gonna make the hubcaps just like a slightly lighter shade if that works. There we go. So we have our tires have been colored in. Everybody's got that. So now what we'll do is we're gonna find like a blue like a light blue maybe. And we're gonna do these windows. So we're gonna color in those windows with kind of a light blue. Now my friends who are using watercolor, if you wanna make a lighter shade, you usually add more water to your paint. The more dense the color is, the more paint is on the brush, the darker the color is gonna be. The more water is on the brush, the more muted and lighter the color. So like I said today, I'm going a little bit more dry with my brush so I don't drip everything down the paper. But there you can see I filled in the front windows. And then where Mona is here in this window, I'm gonna go a little bit darker with my blue, because that's the part of the truck where like the ice cream seller is working, right? And that's where like they make the cones and they have the soft serve machine. So if something has depth like that in the back, you wanna make it look like it's deep inside there, I would go with a darker shade. So whatever color you're working with, you could use a purple, you could use dark gray or black. Black might be a little harsh, but I would just use a darker tone of whatever color it is you used for the windows. And we'll start filling it in there. So we're working around Mona, like that. And so once everyone has that in there, we're gonna leave that to dry. Because if I start adding more watercolor paint to an area that already has some moisture, that's already wet, the colors are gonna start mixing. And sometimes you want that, but right now I don't. So I'm gonna let that dry. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is start painting my fun little ice creams on the truck. So you guys can just go wild with this, go crazy, make whatever colors you want, whatever flavors you want. And if you want, you can shout out in the chat what your favorite ice cream flavor is. Mine is mint chocolate chip, if anyone is wondering. So if anybody wants to send me some mint chocolate chip ice cream, I'm not gonna turn you down. That's the best flavor, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Although I could go for a good vanilla sometimes too. Like the vanilla that has the real vanilla beans in it, that's super yummy. All right, so everybody keep on filling in your ice creams. Oh, I see Sarah's favorite flavor is vanilla. That's good. It's a classic, right? And you can add stuff to it, like sprinkles and all kinds of things. Here, I'm gonna make that one maybe grape. Maybe that's like a grape icy. And then let's say, oh, orange. I don't have any orange in there. Orange is such a fun and happy color. Oh, Heather likes mint chocolate chip too. Oh, and Caroline's son. All of you guys have the right answer. Mint chip is the best. There we go, and I'll make like an orange ice pop there. And maybe I'll put on another one here, like that's looks like maybe it's strawberry. I think Mona might like strawberry. Wow, this is really coming along. Everybody is filling in their ice creams. And then for the cones, the ice cream cones, you could use like a light shade of brown or tan or even yellow. And that will give you like a nice shade that mimics the color of the ice cream cone. But if you want your ice cream cones to be like rainbow colored or something, that's fine too, because this is our piece and we can do whatever we want. Okay, cool. We have that all filled in, looking pretty good. Now we are gonna color in our dear Mona. So, oh, Marumi likes mint chip too. Good job, Marumi. That's the right answer. So we're gonna color in Mona. Now, I'm gonna draw Mona. Again, you can draw whatever cat you want. Mona is like a gray color. So I'm gonna make a gray by using some black paint and a whole bunch of water. See, that's too dark. So I'm gonna add some water, and that's gonna, see how it's getting lighter? It's like magic. So I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna color in Mona with this light gray. There we go, get her tail, fill it in. So fun. And then I'm gonna paint in her ice cream cone. Gonna give her some strawberry ice cream with some pink and some cone color, which I used like a tannish yellow, all filled in, right? Very cool. So now our truck is kind of just like floating in space on the page, right? We want to ground it with something. So I'm going to pretend that Mona's ice cream truck here is maybe at the beach. The beach, that's where I would like to go today. So I'm going to use kind of like a sandy brown color for what would be the ground, but you can use whatever you want. You could make it in the grass, you can make it green. And so I'm gonna think of an imaginary line that's kind of going across the page, and that's called the horizon line. And that's where we're going to set our base, our ground, whatever that is for you, whether it's sand or grass. And then I'm just gonna go carefully around my truck like this and fill in some ground. And see how suddenly, magically, it looks like it is sitting on something, not just floaty on the paper. How cool is that? And so remember, we are not going for perfection here. You can make it look however you want. I really like when I can see kind of white space around, and when I don't have a perfect edge. I really like those messy edges. If you guys have seen my work on Instagram, especially like the view from my run paintings, they always have like this messy edge. That's just like the style that I really like. So there I've made our ground on the bottom of the truck. And now I think we should pick like a nice bright blue for the sky. So let's find a nice kind of turquoisey sky. Yeah, see like that? That kind of turquoise, I like that. I'm afraid that's gonna drip a little, so I'm gonna try not to drip it. But then I'm just gonna go in and fill in around my truck with this color. And my friends who might be using markers, this is the exact same thing. You're just using markers instead of paint. So you don't do anything different. You just go around and fill it in like that. See? So cool. And what's also nice about watercolors, you can see the brush strokes. I really like that too when that happens. Because then you can, it looks like somebody made it by hand, and that's what makes it so special. Because we're all drawing the same thing, and I guarantee you they're all gonna look different, and that's what makes them beautiful, is that they all have a little piece of us in them. It's kind of like your handwriting or your fingerprint. It doesn't look the same between two people, and none of our art is gonna look the same, even though we all drew the same thing. Okay, there, I got my sky filled in there. Everybody's got their truck going. So now we're gonna add one little thing at the end, and this is where I think really magic starts to happen, is we're gonna add little bits of shadowed areas that's really gonna add to make our truck look like it's dimensional. So shadows come from light, right? So you have a light source somewhere, and you know, in this case, we'll pretend that the sun is the light source at this beach we've created in Mona's truck, or that I've created, and I'm gonna pretend that the sun is kind of over here. So we have light going this way, and so this part of the truck is gonna be light, and that part of the truck we're gonna see some shadows. So the way that you make a shadow, I usually use some tone of gray, and grays can be warm, they can be cool. That's a doodle class for another day. So I'm just gonna go with like a plain old gray, and I'm gonna take some gray, and I'm gonna put it on the back part of the truck. See how suddenly that adds to the dimension, and it makes it look like it has more shadow? I'm gonna put some on the little part of the sign, and then I'm gonna, here's one of my dirty secrets as an artist. Sometimes I put shadows where like maybe there'll be some and maybe there won't be some. I just like the way it looks because it adds dimension. So I'm gonna do that underneath like these little windows here, the windows in the truck, and I'm just lightly tapping the brush and dragging it across to kind of make a gray line, and that's adding just a little bit of dimension. And then I'm gonna put a big old shadow at the bottom underneath the truck. This one I'm gonna see if I can mix a little bit of black here. And so this one is really gonna add some dimension to our truck. See, now it looks like it's on a surface. Look at that. Magic. Totally magic. So then you guys could keep going. You could add more details to your truck. You can add more ice creams. You can draw another truck. You could add more details around the page. It's your piece. You can do it however you want. But I hope you guys had fun making these pieces today. And I would love to see them. So can you please, pretty please, take a photo, share it on Instagram, tag me at Lori Richmond Draws. I would love to see your pieces and how they turned out, and I'll show Mona when she wakes up. And I hope that we can do this again, because this was super fun, right? Was this super fun? Would you guys come back to another one? It went a little longer than I expected, but it's Friday. It's okay. All right. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Have fun, keep drawing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.